The FBI cannot be weaponized, and under your leadership, it has been nothing but a weapon alongside the president. Let me be clear. A functioning democracy does not lock up judges.
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
That. Let me move on.
Well, you should read the
topics.
book because there's no enemies list on that book.
So
there are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people,
That's good.
and they were rightly called out. And you should give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
Welcome back to MAGA Capital, your home for truth, accountability, and unapologetic American patriotism. Before we jump into the absolute meltdown we just witnessed in Congress, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for alerts. We're going to break this down in full, and believe me, you don't want to miss it. This week, I'll be reacting to the radical left came unhinged during a hearing where Kash Patel, one of the most effective public servants in recent memory, was subjected to a disgraceful, politically motivated character assassination by a Democrat congresswoman trying to paint him and President Trump as dangerous authoritarians. Let's call it what it is, projection. These people spent 4 years weaponizing the FBI and DOJ against their political enemies, launching hoax investigations, suppressing free speech, and colluding with big tech. Now, they're crying foul because patriots like Patel are exposing the truth in books like Government Gangsters. Right out the gate, the congresswoman started with her scripted talking points, accusing President Trump of targeting people with executive orders, using ICE to detain citizens, and even ignoring the Constitution. But the irony? She then turned around and accused Kash Patel of being unfit for daring to call out corruption in government and holding bureaucrats accountable. Then she brought up Government Gangsters, Patel's book, which she laughably labeled a blueprint for revenge. She clutched her pearls over a simple appendix that lists individuals who abused their positions in government. People who lied, manipulated intelligence, and tried to destroy the Trump presidency from within. Kash made it clear. It's not an enemies list, it's a list of accountability. And if you don't like seeing your name in there, maybe you shouldn't have violated your oath. Let's watch the full Senate hearing, and I'll be giving my full response and reaction afterwards.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Meng, Chairman Cole, Ranking Member DeLauro. And thank you, Mr. Patel, for your testimony and for being here today. I've been looking at the President's 120-word FBI budget request, the so-called skinny, I'll call it Ozempic request, that states that, quote, the undoing of the weaponization of the FBI is one of the administration's top priorities. The weaponization of the FBI is something that deeply concerns me. It should concern all of us. And yet, since taking office, President Trump has been on a revenge tour. He has targeted individuals, universities, law firms, with executive orders to cut them out or to make them come under his will. He has used ICE to disappear U.S. citizens without due process, and he's fully ignored a unanimous Supreme Court order, and then over the weekend wasn't sure if he was obligated to uphold the Constitution of the United States. In your book, your recent book, Government Gangsters, you include an appendix with a list of names that people have referred to as an enemies list. Now, I know you will claim it's just an appendix, not an enemies list. So let's focus on how the president sees it, on what the president calls it. And you proudly display his quote on the front cover of your book. The president calls this a brilliant roadmap, a blueprint. And I have not even raised your storied children's book, The Plot Against the King. It concerns me how many people from this blueprint have been targeted with executive orders and FBI investigations. The FBI cannot be weaponized, and under your leadership, it has been nothing but a weapon alongside the president to go after the president's perceived opponents, to stifle dissent and free speech. A few weeks ago, as we saw through a social media post that you quickly deleted, the FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin for correctly asking ICE officials if they had a judicial warrant instead of an administrative warrant, which they did not have. Despite this judge following the law, on the morning of April the 25th, the FBI arrested the judge in an escalation of the weaponization of the FBI under your leadership. Let me be clear. A functioning democracy does not lock up judges. I am gravely concerned about the utter lack of independence of the FBI and its weaponization under your leadership. I am concerned that the president is using this book, your book, as a blueprint, as he has said. It's a blueprint for revenge. And I am concerned that your eagerness, a childlike giddiness to carry out the president's revenge tour, you've shown yourself to be unserious in your statements before you were sworn in and some after. You've shown yourself unfit to lead this important agency. I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a sad, solemn duty. And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
Let me move on.
Well, you should
Change
read the
topics.
book because there's no enemies list on that book.
So
there are
you-
people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people.
That's good. You
And they
gave
were
them due
rightly
process.
called out.
I'm
And
changing
you should
topics.
give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts
then
forward
the answer is
instead of
both.
lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second
answer
donation
is-
hit.
The answer is both. I believe that the
The
men and
answer is
women of
you're failing, not
I
me.
reclaim my time.
Go ahead.
Mr. Patel, I believe that the members of the FBI, and I know many of them, many retired, 38,000 people, as you say, it's a little less than that now, deserve the very best, deserve extraordinary independence, deserve freedom from the fears of being investigated, the freedom of coming forward to make sure they're doing their job. And I'll end with this, that I think it's interesting that in your proposal today, you find yourself at a gulf of difference between you and the president. I wonder how you will resolve that. Will you go to the president and say, we need $11.2 billion, not what you cut out of here? You're asking for more than $1 billion than the president's request. Are you going to go to the president and straighten out that gulf?
I'll do what I've always done and represent the American people, defend this country, and make sure the Constitution is always upheld and the FBI is never weaponized. Maybe you should do the same.
So you agree with the president when he says he doesn't know if he should uphold his constitutional duty?
If you want to just keep putting words in my mouth, the TV cameras are outside.
I thank you. I yield back. Again, this is an unserious moment, sadly, for the FBI. I yield back.
More so for you.
Mr. Strong.
But it didn't stop there. She went full activist and accused Patel of committing perjury during his confirmation hearing. Her evidence? Whistleblower speculation and the fact that he appeared on a podcast she didn't like. She tried to tie him to a Holocaust denier and repeatedly smeared him without providing a single piece of proof. And when he called her out and demanded she name the felony he supposedly committed, she couldn't do it. The real kicker? She accused the FBI under Patel's future leadership of being a political weapon. But she's the one using this hearing to score partisan political points. The left always accuses you of what they're doing. Every single time. And when Patel responded by calmly reminding her that it was he who was once targeted by a weaponized FBI, not the other way around, she cut him off. She didn't want the truth. She wanted a soundbite. Patel handled himself with class. He reminded everyone that his mission is simple. Uphold the Constitution protect the American people, and depoliticize the FBI. That's what every agency head should be doing. But apparently, doing your job is now dangerous to the left if it means draining their swamp. And when asked about his differences with the president on the budget, Patel gave the perfect answer. He's here to serve the American people. Not politicians. Not party elites. Not media corporations. Just the Constitution and the people of this great nation. This whole exchange should tell you everything you need to know. The left is terrified. They know their days of unchecked power are numbered. They know patriots are waking up. And they know fighters like Kash Patel won't be bullied into silence. So if you're tired of the lies, tired of the smears, tired of watching good men get slandered while real corruption goes unpunished, then it's time to stand up. Comment below with "I stand with Kash." Share this video. And if you haven't already, grab a copy of Government Gangsters and read it for yourself. This is MAGA Capital. We speak truth, we back our patriots, and we fight to take our country back.